I would like to welcome Mr. Simone Miotto, Executive Director, European Association of Paritarian Institutions, AEIP, member of EIOPA's Occupational Pensions Stakeholder Group, OPSG, and the topic of his speech is the review of the IORP II Directive. Where do we stand and what comes next? Mr. Simone Miotto, the stage is yours. We welcome you here. Hello.
Thank you. Hello. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, loud and clear.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the invitation. I also hope you can see my presentation. I'm sharing my screen. I have a few slides to accompany my presentation. But it is a very big pleasure to join you today and provide indeed an update on the review of the IORP II Directive, which I think is the most important legislative file that is affecting occupational pensions in Europe. And for countries like Greece, where occupational pensions continue to develop and expand, the outcome of the review may be particularly important in determining how supportive the future European framework will be. So, as many of you knows, the European Commission has published a legislative proposal in November 2025 as part of its SIU, the Savings and Investment Union agenda. And today I would like to give you a brief overview of where we stand in the legislative process and highlight some of the key issues currently under discussions. And I will also share EAP perspective on the way forward. So let me move to my first slide. So I have a couple of slides, but just to present briefly where we are, the state of play. So since the publication of the proposal in November last year, the discussion has progressed quite steadily, both in Council and at the European Parliament. In the Council, member states have completed, let's say, the technical examination phase and have now moved into the negotiation on the compromise text. There has been a second compromise text discussed at the beginning of June. I saw this morning that there is now a third compromise text, but I didn't have occasion to look at it yet. But let's say that the completion of this process is expected in the upcoming days. On the other hand, in the European Parliament, the process is also advanced. Is quite advanced. The Employment Committee has already adopted an opinion, and the Econ Committee, which is the leading committee in the Parliament on this file, published a draft report at the beginning of June. So we are basically entering into the political phase of the negotiation, meaning that the key policy choices will increasingly come to the forefront. So just to look a bit more specifically at the timeline in the Econ Committee, as I said, the next month will be very, very important. Amendments will be tabled before the summer. Their shadows rapporteur will start negotiating the negotiation in July. And the current date for the vote in the Econ Committee is foreseen for October. This means that basically many of the most important compromises have not yet been found, and that the position of stakeholders like AEIP will continue to matter. Just a way to remember, once the Parliament will also have their position, then they will enter into the so-called trialogue negotiation, so interinstitutional negotiation between the Council, Commission, and the European Parliament. But now, turning into the substance, what are our stronger concerns? Well, first of all, our starting point, I think, is quite simple. We support the objective of strengthening supplementary pensions, and especially, I would say, occupational pensions. We support the goal of improving retirement adequacy and widening the access to occupational pensions. We definitely recognize that some of the elements of this package are very constructive. For example, a more risk-based formulation of the prudent person principle, the possibility to have temporary underfunding, and the simplification of the cross-border transfers and cross-border procedures. But overall, the concern is that taken together, these proposed change risk altering the balance of IORP 2 in a way that is somehow difficult to reconcile with the social and occupational nature of pension institutions. So taken by one, many of the amendments suggested by the European Commission may appear limited. They presented themselves these as just technical changes. Together, we have the feeling that they will introduce a significant number of new requirements, new supervisory expectation, additional layers of governance, disclosure, compliance. So I think the cumulative effect should not be underestimated. From our point of view, this sits also quite uneasily with the broader objective of the EU to simplify, to reduce the burden. So, in my opinion, the main objective of this package should be to help occupational pensions to develop further. It should not make the framework much more complex and harder to operate. And this is true especially for a small and medium-sized institution like the one you have in Greece. So I would like maybe to raise six main points. The first one is that we have somehow the feeling that this proposal looks at occupational pension as a retail financial product, which is definitely not the case. Occupational pensions, as you know, are part of a broader social protection landscape. They are closely linked to social, labor, and tax law. They are closely linked to collective agreements, solidarity mechanism, collective mechanism, long-term social objectives. And I think this has been somehow disregarded in certain of the proposal of the European Commission. Second, the minimum harmonization character of the IORP directive should be preserved. And this is for us probably one of the most critical issues. We are very concerned about the possible introduction of delegated acts, which is something that at the moment there are not in the current text of the IORP. Especially, I would say, in areas such as solvency parameters, the pension benefit statement, supervisory reporting. So we fully recognize the supervisory convergence is a legitimate objective, but the current proposal really risks to shift IORP 2 away from a minimum harmonization framework towards a more prescriptive kind of EU rulebook. So this is a matter of big concern for us. And somehow linked to this, there is also the topic of proportionality. My feeling is that the Commission proposal has been very inspired to the technical advice that IOPA prepared in 2023. Many of the proposed measures are taken from there, but they completely forgot one of the chapters included in IOPA's paper, that was the one on proportionality. So they are proposing to remove the size from the criteria to be taken into account. We acknowledge that size alone is not enough, but still, for me, this remains somehow objective and workable criteria that combined together with others should be allowed to be taken into account. Another matter of concern is the potential standardization of this pension benefit statement, the harmonization of disclosure. Again, this runs a bit against the diversity of the occupational pension landscape. So we wouldn't like to have a harmonized EU template developed by IOPA. I think people really need information that is useful and actionable, and just adding additional layers will not help the clarity of the information. At the same time, as a board member of this European Tracking Service Association, I would also like to highlight that we are strongly supportive of the development, national development of the pension tracking services and of the interconnectivities between these and the European Tracking Service on Pensions, which is a project on which AEIP is working since more than 10 years. Is working. It's still limited to a few countries, but we are quite heavily working on this. We received 4.7 million from DG Employment, from the Commission, to develop this further. So this is something I would like to highlight. And again, as EAP, we believe that there shouldn't be like a mandatory development obligation for member state to have it. It has to be a national decision. And in the same vein, there shouldn't be a kind of EU harmonization of the pension tracking system, data structures and formats. A fifth point, the prudential framework should remain risk-based and national calibrated. So, for instance, we support the forward-looking stress test in principle, especially for IORP's underwriting guarantees. But at the same time, we are concerned about the way this has been proposed. This should be and should remain national calibrated, proportionate, should reflect the domestic market circumstances, conditions, schemes design, and supervisory practices. So having a severe hypothetical stress test outcomes should not automatically trigger convergence plans or supervisory escalation, as well as this review should not introduce delegated act to recalibrate the solvency margins over time. Last but not least, the new conduct style obligation should not duplicate protections that are already embedded in occupational pension governance. I'm thinking here, in particular, to the duty of care. We don't question, of course, the importance of safeguarding members' and beneficiaries' interests. The question is more on whether the current IORP II framework already contains the essential elements for such protection in the prudent person rules, in the governance requirements, in the obligation on the risk management. In Paritarian institutions, the institution I defend and represent, these are all already embedded elements. So all in all, looking at the direction that the council is taking, and still this is somehow kind of leaked documents and ongoing discussion. I would say that the Council approach seems to go into the right direction. A number of delegated acts and technical standards proposed by the European Commission seems that will be removed. The mandatory provision for IORPs to connect to pension tracking systems have been deleted. The Council also removed delegated powers regarding solvency parameters. That's really good. Again, all in all, from our perspective, these changes move in the right direction and help to preserve the minimum harmonization character of the directive. But still, some important questions remain open. In particular, for instance, proportionality, I think, is not really a matter for the Council. Some governance, strengthening of governance requirements are still there. Member protection provision and reporting obligation, in my opinion, should still be a bit streamlined and are therefore attracting our attention. As I said, the Econ report produced by the member of the European Parliament from the Volt Party in Germany, Boselager, has been published. This is publicly available. There are some elements that are welcome. He looked a bit more in depth into proportionality, suggesting to increase the thresholds in Article 5. Will not enter into the details, but here seems to go in the right direction. Other positive elements seems to be the removal of the underperformance framework, the deletion of certain delegated acts. But there are also some quite ambitious proposals where we are a bit more concerned. One of them is this obligation for member states to have a pension tracking system for IORPs. Of course, the legal basis that they have only allows them to suggest some things for IORPs. So to me, it doesn't make sense to have a tracking service only for IORPs, especially in countries where IORPs represent only a small part of the retirement
Mr.
income.
Miotto,
Yes,
one more minute
yes,
for you.
I will. And another source of worry is this obligation for very large IORPs to invest at least 2% in venture capital. So we still have some worries there. Here, I lost my last slide. I don't know where it went. So in conclusion, I would say we are entering into a quite decisive phase for this directive. The coming month will be very important. It's impossible today to speculate on what will be the outcome. We will stay vigilant and try to defend also your interests. Thank you so much again,
thank you a lot.
and I hope to see you in person next time.
Thank you, Mr. Simone Miotto, for your intervention at our forum, as well as for the insightful remarks. Hopefully, these remarks, Ministry of Labour and the Greek government will take them into consideration for the upcoming bill that they're building. So we hope that next year we'll have the pleasure of welcome you in Athens at our forum. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Bye.